you have such a small. I mean, is it 0.2% of the world's population?
0.02%.
Of the world's population, and there has been jokes, hatred, all under these guise of anti-Semitism, lies, stereotypes. I mean, we all have stereotypes.
I mean, it's funny as time goes on, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, that kind of changes. I mean, I'll tell you, growing up in Charleston, I never experienced anti-Semitism. I had friends that, they made comments, "Hey, Jew boy," stuff like that. But I mean, it was more in being funny or whatever. It wasn't like I took it as, he's anti-Semitic, because it was very, close friends or whatever.
We busted balls.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, you just play around. Looking back at it, should I have said, "Hey, I don't really think you should be speaking to me that way." It wasn't that type of situation. I will tell you though, like with my, when my dad was growing up, and he would tell me, kind of as in his adult life stuff too, that there was places in Charleston that did not invite Jews. Jews weren't allowed to go in there. There were clubs or things like that. So there was kind of like underneath. There's anti-Semitism, but for the most part, Charleston is not an anti-Semitic city. We've been very fortunate. There hasn't been protests and things at the schools here and on the streets. There've been at the beginning there was a few protests, but really nothing.
You have
crazy.
A long history here.
Yeah. And then, so, there, like I said, there's always going to be some, but I would say that, in Charleston, we're very fortunate. But I travel a good bit for work. So, when I go to different places, I see what goes on, and obviously the big Jewish centers is going to be more, protests, whether it's in New York or California or whatever. But for the most part, like, my oldest daughter went to private school where she did experience a little bit of anti-Semitism. People make comments or things like that. But I really feel like a lot of times people learn that stuff from whether it's their parents or from their friends who learn something.